The glass shattered against the marble floor of my corner office, shards scattering like the fragments of my carefully constructed life. "Ezekiel, we need to talk," Johnny said. His voice a low rumble that cut through the hum of the city below, his dark eyes holding mine with an intensity that made my pulse stutter. In that moment, as the last rays of a dying Manhattan sunset bled through the blinds, I knew one sip from the scotch he'd poured would unravel everything I'd hidden for years. It started innocently enough, or at least, that's what I told myself in the weeks leading up to that Friday evening. I was Ezekiel Hayes, 28, a mid-level marketing exec at Vanguard Media, one of those gleaming towers in Midtown where ambition hung in the air like cigarette smoke from a bygone era. New York had chewed me up and spit me out twice before I landed this gig, but I'd clawed my way to stability. A shoebox apartment in Hell's Kitchen, a rotation of half-hearted dates on apps that never went beyond coffee, and a secret folder on my laptop labeled Inspo, filled with photos of men who looked nothing like the safe, buttoned-up world I navigated daily. Gay in a city that preached acceptance but still whispered judgments. Yeah, that was my normal. Until Johnny Russo walked into the picture. Johnny was the kind of boss who made boardrooms feel like stages. 42, broad-shouldered with that effortless Italian-American swagger. Think De Niro in his prime, but with a Brooklyn edge softened by years at Yale. He ran our division like a maestro, all sharp suits and sharper insights, quoting Springsteen lyrics in strategy meetings to rally the troops. We'd butted heads early on. I was the upstart with fresh ideas from my MFA in creative writing, and he was the gatekeeper who saw right through my polished pitches to the raw hunger beneath. But respect grew, grudging at first, then something deeper. Late nights poring over campaigns, his hand brushing mine as we passed a tablet. Accidental, always accidental. Or so I convinced myself. That invitation came on a Thursday, casual as a weather report. "Hayes, you're killing it on the Zenith account. Drinks after." My treat. O'Malley's, 8 sharp. No big deal, right? Bosses buy rounds all the time in this town. But my stomach twisted like I chugged bad bodega coffee. O'Malley's was a dive off Times Square. Sticky floors, neon signs flickering Guinness in emerald glow. The kind of place where secrets spilled easier than foam from a pint. I showed up in my best Oxford, hair gelled just so, telling myself it was networking. Purely professional. He was already there, nursing a Macallan neat at a corner booth. Tie loosened like he'd been wrestling demons all day. "Ezekiel," he said, sliding a glass my way. "You look like you could use this." His smile was that half-cocked thing, warm but guarded, and for a split second, I wondered if he knew. About the dreams that woke me in sweats, the ones where his voice wasn't barking orders but whispering my name in the dark. We clinked glasses, talked shop. The Zenith pitch bombing in focus groups, my wild idea to pivot to user-generated stories that he'd shot down last week but now eyed with intrigue. "You're a risk-taker, kid," he said, leaning in, the scent of his cologne, sandalwood and citrus, cutting through the stale bar air. "That's rare. Most guys here play it safe, hide behind spreadsheets." I laughed it off, heat creeping up my neck. Safe pays the rent. But inside, I was unraveling. Johnny had a way of seeing you, really seeing, like he could peel back the layers to the scared kid from rural Ohio who'd fled Bible Belt Sundays for the anonymity of the city. My family back home? They knew I was different. But love didn't stretch that far. Calls went unanswered after I came out at 20. New York was my reinvention. But nights alone, scrolling Grindr ghosts, I felt the ache of what I'd lost. Johnny, though, he talked about his own scars over that second round. Divorced 5 years back. No kids. A sister in Jersey who guilted him into holidays he skipped. Family's a beautiful mess, Ezekiel. But sometimes you gotta build your own. By the third drink, the bar had emptied to a hush. Just us and the bartender wiping down with mechanical boredom. That's when it shifted. Johnny's glass paused mid-air, his eyes darkening like thunderheads rolling over the Hudson. "Listen, I didn't just call you here for war stories." He set it down, fingers drumming the scarred wood. "There's something eating at me. About you. About us." My heart slammed against my ribs. Us? But before I could choke out a word, he plunged in. "I've been watching you, Hayes. Not in a creepy way, but, Christ, you're electric. The way you fight for your ideas, that fire. It's been a long time since anyone's made me feel alive like that. The world narrowed to the thrum of blood in my ears. Was this happening? In O'Malley's, with Springsteen's Thunder Road, crooning from the jukebox? I opened my mouth, but nothing came. Fear, hope, a lifetime of what-ifs jamming the works. Johnny mistook my silence for rejection, his face crumpling like wet paper. Forget it. Stupid idea. I'm your boss, for God's sake. This city's full of sharks. I don't need to be one. He signaled for the check, but I grabbed his wrist. Soft skin over corded muscle, and the touch ignited something feral. No, I whispered, voice cracking. Don't. Eve felt it too, for months. But what I thought died in his kiss. It wasn't gentle. It was a collision, desperate and tasting of scotch and unspoken years. His hand cupped my jaw, thumb tracing my stubble, and for those endless seconds, the bar faded. The clink of glasses, the distant honk of cabs. Just us, two men stealing breath from the chaos of Manhattan. When we broke, gasping, his forehead pressed to mine. Ezekiel, he murmured. This could ruin everything, but his eyes said the opposite. It could save us. We stumbled out into the November chill, collars up against the wind whipping down 42nd Street. My apartment was closer, a 10-minute walk through the neon jungle, but we didn't rush. Instead, we really talked, like I'd never done with anyone. About the exes who'd ghosted, the corporate ladders we'd climbed over broken backs, the quiet terror of loving in a world that still flinched at two men holding hands. Johnny confessed his divorce wasn't just irreconcilable differences. His wife had walked after he admitted he couldn't fake straight anymore, not after years of therapy and denial. I buried it deep, kid. For the job, the family name. But you make me want to dig it up. By the time we hit my stoop, the city's pulse matched our own, erratic, alive. Inside, the space felt too small for what brewed between us. Mismatched IKEA shelves crammed with dog-eared Kerouac and Baldwin. A single bulb casting golden pools on the hardwood. No grand seduction. We collapsed on the couch, his arm around my shoulders, sharing silences heavier than words. That night, we didn't cross lines, just held on, tracing the maps of each other's scars with fingertips and stories. He left at dawn, kissing my temple with a promise. We'll figure this out, discreetly. The next weeks were a fever dream. At the office, we were pros, nods in hallways, emails crisp as fresh linen. But stolen moments piled up. Coffee runs turning into lingering glances, his foot nudging mine under conference tables. I floated high on the impossibility of it. Johnny Russo, the untouchable kingpin, choosing me, felt like winning the lottery in a city of suckers. We built rituals. Thursday texts with song links. His, Tom Waits gravel. Mine. Hosier hymns. Weekend hikes in the Palisades where hand-holding felt revolutionary under autumn leaves. He opened up about his Brooklyn roots. Nana's Sunday sauce. The Catholic guilt that lingered like cigar ash. I shared my Ohio ghosts. The father who prayed over me. The mother who sent faded postcards but never visited. But cracks spider-webbed early. Whispers in the break room. Russo's got a new favorite. Watch your back. My best friend, Lena, a sharp-tongued graphic designer on our floor, cornered me one lunch. Spill, seek. You're glowing like you swallowed a firefly. Is it that barista with the tattoos? I deflected, but her eyes narrowed. Or someone closer to the corner office? Panic clawed my throat. Discretion was our pact. But New York's a village with megaphones. The first real storm hit over the Zenith relaunch. My pivot idea, user stories from everyday heroes, landed us a viral spot on TikTok, clients buzzing. Johnny pulled me into his office post-meeting, door locked, pulling me into a fierce hug. You're a goddamn genius. His pride tasted sweeter than any raise. But as we parted, his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We need to talk. About Hayes. His face drained of color. X, he muttered, pocketing it. Old noise. I believed him. Should have known better. Betrayal doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It slithers in on whispers. It was Maria, his ex-wife. I'd pieced that together later from the M and the venom in Johnny's voice when he finally named her. She wasn't done haunting him. Turns out, Divorce papers didn't erase the shared Rolodex or the mutual friends who funneled gossip like cheap Merlot. Maria worked in PR across town, a shark in Louboutins with a grudge that festered. She'd heard the office buzz, connected dots to the drinks, the late nights. Her text, a warning shot, keep your hands off my meal ticket, or I'll make sure HR knows about your little office romance. Johnny downplayed it that night over takeout Thai in his loft in Chelsea. Exposed brick, abstract art screaming moneyed taste. She's bluffing, Ezekiel. Always was a drama queen. We laughed it off, tangled on his leather sectional. His head in my lap as I read aloud from Giovanni's room. Baldwin's words weaving our own fragile tapestry. But doubt seated, a thorn under my skin. What if she wasn't? HR policies were ironclad, no fraternization, especially not with power imbalances. I could lose everything. The job, the visa I'd scraped for post-MFA, the fragile self I'd rebuilt brick by brick. We pushed through, defiant in our bubble. Thanksgiving loomed, a minefield. Johnny's sister dragged him to Jersey for turkey and tension. I faced it solo in my apartment, FaceTiming Mom in Ohio where the screen crackled with unspoken frost. You sound happy, Zeke, she said, hesitant. Someone special? My throat tightened. How to explain Johnny without shattering the peace? Just work. I lied. That night, he showed up unannounced. Pie from a corner bakery in hand. Snow dusting his coat like powdered sugar. Couldn't stomach the Inquisition without you. We ate on the floor, forks clinking, his stories of family barbs turning to ours. A chosen tribe of misfits, starting with us. December blurred into magic. The city decked in lights, our secret blooming like poinsettias in shop windows. We stole the Rockefeller tree viewing, gloved hands brushing amid the crowd. He gifted me a vintage fountain pen engraved for the storyteller, and I penned him letters slipped into briefcases. Odes to his laugh, his quiet strength. Sex, we danced around it, not from prudery but reverence. Touches lingered, kisses deepened. But we waited for the right moment, building something sacred amid the rush hour grind. I want it to mean everything, he said one night, breath warm against my neck. Not just escape. But Maria's shadow lengthened. Whispers escalated. Anonymous emails to the team lead, hinting at inappropriate conduct. Lena pulled me aside again, her nails digging into my arm. Zeke, if it's Russo, and God, I hope it is, be careful. She's circling like a vulture. Johnny confronted her over a tense call I overheard from his kitchen. Voices rising, accusations flying. You think you can out me after all this time? For what? Spite. He hung up, face ashen, and collapsed beside me. She's threatening to go public. To the board, the press. Leverage from our settlement. Rage boiled in me. Not at her, but the unfairness. Why punish us for daring to love? We doubled down on caution. No office glances, coded texts only. But isolation bred paranoia. I started seeing threats everywhere. Coworkers' stares lingering too long. My inbox flooding with vague complaints. One night, after a brutal pitch where Johnny defended my work against a rival exec's sabotage, I snapped. Is this worth it? The hiding, the fear. He pulled me close, his embrace a harbor in the storm. You are worth it. All of it. We made love then, for the first time, slow, reverent, in the flicker of Chelsea candles. His body over mine, whispers of ti amo mingling with my gasps. It was communion, not conquest. Afterward, tangled in sheets scented with him, I believed we could weather it. New Year's Eve cracked the facade. We planned low-key. His place, champagne, a playlist of Otis Redding's soul. But as midnight tolled, fireworks blooming over the East River, his phone erupted. Not cheers, but a call from the company hotline. Russo here. Silence stretched, his free hand crushing mine. When he hung up, the words fell like guillotines. Anonymous tip. Investigation starts Monday. They want statements from both of us. Panic clawed us. We paced his loft, the city's revelry mocking our dread. I'll deny it, I said, voice small. Blame the rumors. But Johnny's eyes blazed. No, I'm done hiding. If they come for you, they come through me. It was noble, heartbreaking. The man who'd armored himself for decades, cracking open for love. We spent the night plotting lawyers, PR spins, worst-case scenarios. Dawn found us on his balcony, coffee steaming in the frost, watching joggers blur past like ghosts of normalcy. Whatever happens, he vowed, we face it together. Monday was a gauntlet. HR summoned us separately. Sterile conference room, notepads poised like daggers. My interview, evasive nods, professional mentorship, my shield. Johnny's? I learned later from Lena's frantic text. Full confession. It's true, he'd said. Ezekiel and I are involved. And I'm proud of it. The fallout hit like a freight train. By noon, whispers roared to scandal. Emails yanked, badges deactivated. I found him in the exec lounge, packing a box with photos and plaques, his jaw set like granite. They suspended me pending review. You, stay low, fight for your spot. Tears burned. We fight together. But he shook his head, that damn self-sacrifice gleaming. Not if it tanks your career. Go home, Ezekiel. I'll handle the fire. I didn't. Instead, I stormed the boardroom, Lena at my flank, spilling our truth. Not as scandal, but humanity. Vanguard prides itself on bold stories. This is one. Two people finding each other in the grind. Punish that, and you're no better than the dinosaurs you market to. It was reckless, raw, my Ohio fire flaring. They listened, stone-faced, but something shifted. A nod from the CEO, murmurs of progressive optics. That night, Johnny and I met in Central Park, snow blanketing the paths like absolution. He looked wrecked, stubble shadowing his jaw, eyes red-rimmed. You shouldn't have. I silenced him with a kiss, fierce under the lamplight. But as we walked, arm in arm defying the chill, his phone buzzed again. Maria, this time not a threat, a plea. Saw the news. I'm sorry. For everything. Turns out, her bluff had backfired. The leak traced to her IP, corporate hounds on her trail. Johnny didn't gloat. She was hurting too, he said softly. We all are. The climax came swift, a week later. Board verdict. Johnny relieved of duties with a golden parachute. Euphemism for exile. Me? Reprimanded but retained. My pitch salvaged as the campaign's hero. It stung, the imbalance, him sacrificed on the altar of optics. We fought in his emptying loft. Accusations flying. You let them win, I yelled, hurling a book across the room. By confessing alone, you made me the sidekick. He fired back, voice breaking. I protected you. Can't you see? This city's a meat grinder. I won't let it chew you up too. Betrayal hung thick. Not just hers, but ours. The fracture of trust under pressure. I stormed out, wandering the village in a blizzard, soul numb as the wind. Hours later, a text. The high bridge. Now, please. I went, boots crunching virgin snow, the span arching over the Harlem like a vein of steel hope. He was there, silhouette against the Washington Heights glow, coat flapping like a flag of truce. Ezekiel, he called, voice carrying on the gusts. I was wrong. Hiding wasn't protection, it was fear. My fear. Tears froze on his cheeks as he closed the gap. I love you, not as a boss or a savior, as a man flawed and all. If you'll have me, us, let's burn it down and build real. The wind howled, but his words anchored me. I thought of Baldwin's Giovanni. Love as the ultimate rebellion. Yes, I whispered, pulling him close. But no more secrets. We tell our story, on our terms. Spring thawed the city, and us in fits and starts. Johnny landed on his feet, consulting gig with an indie ad firm in Brooklyn, trading corner offices for lofts with exposed beams and better coffee. I stayed at Vanguard, but the air tasted different. Promotions dangled like carrots, but I eyed the door, craving stories over spreadsheets. We moved slow, deliberate, no grand gestures, just the quiet architecture of us. Mornings in his new place, sunlight slanting through fire escapes as I brewed espresso strong as his nanas. Evenings walking the promenade, hands linked against the skylines in different gleam. Maria's reckoning came quiet. A settlement, therapy mandated. A call where Johnny forgave without forgetting. Hurt people hurt, he said after, not bitter but wiser. It humanized her, stripped the villainy. She was just another casualty of closets we'd all outgrown. Lena became our unofficial chaperone, dragging us to queer open mics in the East Village where I read snippets of our tale. Veiled, of course, but raw enough to draw snaps and nods. "You're healing the room, Zeke," she whispered post-set, hugging me fierce. But scars don't fade linear. Nightmares woke me. Boardroom inquisitions morphing to Ohio sermons. Johnny's box of relics a coffin for our stolen joys. He'd soothe me then, voice a gravel anchor. "We're here, real as this." Therapy followed, joint sessions in a NoHo brownstone, unpacking the betrayals. Mine, the family's silence, a love conditional as winter sun. His, the marriage built on sand. Maria's pain a mirror to his own suppressed screams. "I betrayed myself first," he admitted one session, hand squeezing mine. "By pretending." The counselor's nod was gentle. And now? Redemption's in the telling. Summer scorched in, humid and unyielding, mirroring the heat between us. We took a road trip, his beat-up Jeep rattling west on I-80, chasing Kerouac ghosts through Pennsylvania coal country to the Badlands' jagged teeth. No itinerary, just mixtapes and detours. Dive diners slinging pie in Nebraska, stargazing in Wyoming where the Milky Way spilled like spilled secrets. One night, campfire crackling under ponderosis, he proposed not rings but futures. "Marry me, Ezekiel, not for papers but promise. Build that family we talked about, messy ours." Tears pricked. Ohio echoes faded against his earnest gaze. Yes, God, yes. We sealed it there, under infinite black, bodies entwined in the tense nylon hush. Not urgent, but eternal. Dawn painted us gold, the world vast and kind for once. Back in New York, life layered on. I quit Vanguard that fall, parlaying the Zenith buzz into a freelance gig scripting docs for PBS. Queer histories, untold voices. Johnny mentored startups, his Rolodex a lifeline for underdogs. We adopted a mutt from the ASPCA, a wiry terrier named Rocco who chewed socks but licked wounds. Holidays shifted. His sister's table now included me, her initial side-eye warming to toasts. Mom's postcard evolved to a hesitant visit, her hand trembling as she met Johnny over diner eggs. "He makes you shine, son," she said, voice thick. Not full absolution, but a bridge, humanity's slow mending. Conflict lingered, subtle as subway rumbles. A profile in Out magazine thrust us into spotlights we dodged. From boardroom to bedroom, a love story. Adoration poured in, letters from kids in red states, echoing our hidden aches, but so did Barb's. Trolls online. A colleague snide token diversity jab at a panel. We weathered it, leaning on each other. His steadiness my compass, my words his shield. One ugly night, after a hate call to our landline, how they got the number, God knows, I shattered. A vase hurled, sobs racking. Johnny held me through it, murmuring. Their fears the real betrayal, not us. Climax revisited in autumn's cusp. A callback to our O'Malley's origin. Vanguard's holiday gala, black tie, chandeliers dripping like honey over the plaza's ballroom. We went as dates, unapologetic. His arm mine, introducing my partner, Ezekiel Hayes, storyteller extraordinaire. Whispers rippled, but heads nodded progress, or at least performance. Midway through toasts, Maria appeared. Uninvited, elegant in emerald silk, glass in hand. My gut twisted. Johnny stiffened beside me. What now? I hissed. She approached, eyes downcast, voice a thread. I came to apologize. Properly. No audience, just us three in a alcove, the band's swing muffling our truths. I was scared, Johnny, of losing the life I'd built. But seeing you, oh, it shames me. Tears gleamed. She turned to me. And you, Ezekiel, I aimed to protect what was mine but hurt innocence. Forgive me? It wasn't absolution instant, but raw, a woman owning her wreckage. Johnny's hand found hers. Brief. Water under. Take care, Maria. She nodded, vanishing into the throng like smoke. We danced after. Foxtrot clumsy but ours. His breath at my ear. See? We rewrite the endings. Laughter bubbled. Free. Winter circled back, softer now. Christmas Eve. Rooftop of his building. String lights twinkling like captured stars. Rocco snoring below. We exchanged vows improvised, promises of patience in panics, laughter in losses. To the mess, he toasted, champagne fizzing, and the men we make of it. As snow feathered down, Manhattan a hush of white, I thought of that shattered glass in my office, the life it heralded, not ended. Betrayal had carved us open, but from the wound grew grace. Love not despite the scars, but through them. Human, profoundly so. In each other's arms, under a city that never sleeps but sometimes dreams, we chose us. Again. Always.